Dear students, in the previous video lecture, we learned about the how the IC engines are classified or internal combustion engines are classified considering different parameters. And we learned about the different parts and their functions in internal combustion engine. Today, we are going to learn about the internal combustion engine or IC engine terminologies. Okay, some of the important technical words or terminologies used in internal combustion engine. So here we have the first terminology that is called stroke. It is the distance traveled by the piston from the cover end to the crank end or from crank end to the cover end. It is denoted by capital letter L. So this is called the stroke. Let us understand clearly in this diagram what is stroke in the internal combustion engine. So in the internal combustion engine, we can classify the internal combustion engines based on the number of strokes also, so that we can remember now. Okay, so here also we have a terminology that is called stroke. Okay, so now we'll understand what is stroke in the internal combustion engine. So here we can see this is the piston. Okay, so this part whatever you are seeing, this part is called piston and this is called the cylinder. Okay, so here we have exhaust valve, inlet valve, and whatever the volume, here we have this volume is called clearance volume. This we'll discuss later. So here this is called the stroke volume. So definition, if you see the definition here, stroke, it is the distance traveled by the piston from the cover end to the crank end or from crank end to the cover end. It is denoted by capital letter L. Okay, so in this diagram we can see this is the piston. So this piston can freely move down, again it can move up. Okay, so it can freely slide or it can move from this end to this end. Okay, this is the maximum extent up to which the piston can move downward, and this is the maximum extent up to which the piston can move upward. So this extreme positions of the piston when it moves up and when it moves down is called, when it moves to the extreme and at the top, that is called top dead center. Okay, top dead center, and it is also called as, we can observe here what it is given. Okay, it is called cover end. Okay, so it is called cover end and it is also called as top dead center. Shortly we call this as a TDC, and it can move down to the extreme position, that is called BDC, bottom dead center. It's also called as crank end. Okay, there are two words are used. One word is that is cover end and crank end. So the piston moves from top dead center to bottom dead center, that is called the stroke. Whatever the distance traveled by the piston from top dead center to bottom dead center, that is called stroke. So whatever the volume covered while moving the piston from top dead center to bottom dead center, that is called stroke volume. Okay, that is called the stroke volume. So we can observe when it moves from here to here, so this volume is called stroke volume. Okay, so I think you understood what is stroke. That is the distance traveled by the piston from top dead center to bottom dead center or from cover end to the crank end is called stroke. Okay, so we'll go to the next terminology, that is called bore. Okay, it is the diameter of the cylinder or outer diameter of the piston, and it is denoted by the letter capital D. Okay, so that we can see in this diagram. So this is the diameter of the cylinder. So this diameter we call it as bore in the internal combustion engine, or we can call the diameter of the piston also. This is the piston, and we can call the diameter of the piston is also as a bore. So we'll go to the next terminology, top dead center. Top dead center, shortly we call this as TDC, or it's also called as cover end. It is the extreme position of the piston when the piston is nearer cylinder head. Okay, so this is called the cylinder head of the so this part, so you can see this is the head of the cylinder. When the piston, this is the extreme position of the piston when it is at the top dead center. Okay, TDC is the top dead center or the extreme top position the piston maximum it can travel, that is called the TDC. So like this we have another terminology, that is bottom dead center. bottom dead center. Shortly we call this as BDC, and it is also called as crank end. It is the extreme position of piston when the piston is nearer the crankshaft end. Okay, so extreme bottom position up to which the piston can move. Okay, so or it can reach, that is called, okay, the bottom dead center or BDC. So I think you understood these two terminologies. Okay, what is TDC and what is BDC? So like this, we have another terminology that is called swept volume. Swept volume, and we shortly we write this as VS. V for volume, S for swept. Okay, it is the volume covered by the piston when the piston moves from top dead center to bottom dead center, and it is denoted by Vs. Okay, it's also called as stroke volume or shaft volume, and is given by the formula or the equation we can use. Okay, shaft volume or stroke volume Vs is equal to pi d square divided by 4. We'll get the area, and we have to multiply the length of the stroke. Okay, that can observe here the stroke volume and shaft volume, so both are same. So this is the volume covered by the piston when it moves from top dead center to bottom dead center. So that volume is called as the swept volume or the stroke volume. We can calculate the volume by using the formula, that is pi d square divided by 4 into L. Okay, so this is the another terminology. This is very important in the IC engines. So let us move to the next terminology used, that is sixth one, clearance volume. Okay, so we write it as VC, V for volume, C for clearance. It is the volume occupied by the charge at the end of the compression stroke when the piston is at TDC. We'll understand what is compression stroke later. Okay, so we know already what is TDC, top dead center, and it is the volume occupied by the charge. Okay, here what is charge? Okay, that is very important. Charge, it is the mixture of petrol, in case of petrol engine, air and, okay, petrol. Okay, it is a mixture of air and petrol, that is called as charge. It is the volume occupied by the charge when the piston is at top dead center during compression stroke. So that is called the clearance volume. We can observe in this diagram. Here this is the piston, this is the topmost position of the piston, TDC. When the piston is in this okay position, we can see here we have some small volume. Okay, we can observe here there is a small space left above the piston. So here the air and fuel mixture, or the air and petrol, both will be compressed when the piston moves up, and it will be collected in this area. So this, okay, or this volume is called as the clearance volume, that is shown in the diagram also we can observe. So this volume is called as clearance volume, where during compression stroke the charge and or the air and petrol mixture will be collected in this space or the volume. So this is called the, okay, clearance volume in the internal combustion engine. So next we have another terminology that is called compression ratio. It is the ratio of total volume of the cylinder to the clearance volume. Total volume of the cylinder to the clearance volume. You understood what is clearance volume and what is, okay, total volume. We will see here what is total volume. So this is the total volume of the cylinder. For example, if you take the length into area of the cylinder, okay, full area, so this is the total volume. Okay, we'll get the total volume of the cylinder. Then what is the clearance volume? The ratio between the total volume to the clearance, okay, volume, we call it as a compression ratio. Okay, so we can calculate the compression ratio. So that is denoted by R. So R is equal to total volume divided by clearance volume. You will get what is the compression ratio of the internal combustion engine, because the compression ratio is very important in internal combustion engine to compress the air and fuel mixture and to burn it properly inside the engine cylinder. Next we have piston speed. Piston speed, this is the another terminology. So how to calculate the speed of the piston? Why the piston will be reciprocating inside the engine cylinder with at very high speed. So that speed we have to calculate sometimes. So how to calculate that? The total linear distance traveled by the piston per unit time is called piston speed. It is expressed in meter per minute. Per minute, how much meter the piston is going to travel, and is given by the piston speed is equal to 2 into L into N. So here L is the length of stroke and N is the speed of the engine. If you know what is the speed of the engine and we can what is the stroke length, we can calculate what is the piston speed, and it is okay. The unit used for this is meter per minute. Okay, you know already stroke length. Okay, so the length from here to here. Okay, so this is called the stroke length. If you know what is the speed of the engine, we can calculate at what speed the piston is reciprocating or it is traveling, so that we can calculate. So the this is the most important these are all the most important terminologies used in internal combustion engines. So next here we have IC engines are classified into two types. One is called four stroke engines and two stroke engines. Okay, already in the previous video lecture we discussed how the IC engines are classified by considering different parameters. So where we consider different parameters to classify the internal combustion engine, that is based on number of strokes, based on number of cylinders. Okay, so based on number of uh, uh, what is that number of cylinders, number of strokes, and what is the cycle, thermodynamic cycle used in the engine, and what is the fuel used. Okay, so all this we discussed and we understood how they are classified. But here the generally used, okay, generally used, the used classification of internal combustion engine, that is four stroke engines and two stroke engines, that is based on number of strokes in the internal combustion engine. So here we'll discuss about what is four stroke engine, how the four stroke engine works, and what is two stroke engine and how the two stroke engine works. So here four stroke engine, in four stroke engines the piston performs four strokes. Piston performs four strokes. We understood already what is stroke. Stroke, that is movement of the piston from top dead center to bottom dead center, or from top to bottom once, that is called the one stroke. Again if it moves from bottom to top again, okay, so that is called another stroke. So like this, two strokes are completed, again from top to bottom another stroke, three strokes are completed, again from bottom to top another stroke. So that's why, so there are four strokes are completed, then it is called four stroke engine. These four strokes are completed to completely suck the air and fuel mixture inside the engine cylinder, and again to compress it, and again to burn it, and to produce the power. And after burning the fuel, there will be some exhaust gases or waste gases. Those waste gases are okay exhausted outside. So to complete all these processes, okay, it will take four different strokes, or the movement of the piston from top to bottom once, okay, and again from bottom to top, and again top to bottom, again from bottom to top. So like this, the piston moves four times from top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom, again from bottom to top. So like this, the entire, okay, the process in the internal combustion engine is completed, and we can get the power from the, okay, burning the air and fuel inside the engine cylinder. To complete cycle will be done by moving the piston four times. So that's why it is called four stroke engine, okay, or four stroke internal combustion engine. So here we can observe what are the four different strokes. One is called suction stroke, and second one is called compression stroke, and third one is called working or power stroke, and fourth one is called exhaust stroke. So like this, there are four strokes or the movement of the piston. For those four strokes they have names. That is, first one is the suction stroke, second one is called compression stroke, third one is called working or power stroke, and fourth one is called exhaust stroke. So here each stroke takes place in a half a rotation of the crankshaft. That is, when it rotates 180-degree, hence it takes two revolutions of the crankshaft to complete one working cycle. So we'll understand in the next video lecture so how this four stroke engine works. Okay, what are all these four different strokes used in the internal combustion engine. Thank you.